Welcome back. I'm Austin Westfall. There will be so much attention on New York City on New Year's Eve. Of course, that's where the big ball drop will be taking place as we ring in 2025. But loud fireworks displays, they're going to be seen across the country on New Year's Eve. For some, they're probably already seeing them. It's already started. I know it was outside my apartment late last night. I was already hearing so many of those loud bangs. Why is this important? For some military veterans, those types of noises can trigger post-traumatic stress disorder. It's an important story that we talk about every year. We do have here standing by Matthew Whiz Buckley. He's a retired Navy fighter pilot. He's the founder of the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. That's a foundation that aims to end suicide in veteran and first responder communities. So, Whiz, it's good to have you on. How do people broach this subject with their family members? How do they broach this with their veteran family members that perhaps haven't discussed something like this with them before?
Austin, first of all, thank you for having me. Merry Christmas, and thanks for raising awareness of this important issue. It's not just New Year's Eve, Austin. It's 4th of July. It's any gathering where folks are supposed to be happy, right? Many veterans who've lost folks, brothers or sisters serving the country, take times when everybody else is happy and they reflect and they actually get a little bit more sad that some of the folks that they served with are no longer with them and they're not having such a great day. So family, friends, if you know a veteran and it's one of these occasions, New Year's, 4th of July, or any happy occasion, we call it a buddy check. If you can, just check in on them. A lot of folks, Austin, like to say, hey, Whiz, or if they see a veteran, they say, thank you for your service. I ask my fellow Americans if you can put a comma after that and then a question. Do you need anything? Are you okay? You'd be surprised how just that little addition at the end of that sentence could potentially save or change a life.
Do you have a personal story to share with this?
Well, my brother, I flew the F-18 Hornet for the Navy for about 15 years. And in 15 years of flying fighters, I lost 16 buddies. Not one combat loss. This was weather, mechanical, stupidity, more weather, more mechanical, more stupidity. And along the way, I lost 3 F-18 brothers to suicide, including my best friend. He was a groomsman in my wedding. So about 4 years ago, I said, I got to do something. Back then, Austin, the Uncle Sam's number was about 17 to 22 veterans take their own lives every day, which to me, that's a shooting. That is a mass shooting on a daily basis in the veteran community. So about 4 years ago, I said, I got to do something about veteran suicide. So I started the No Fallen Heroes Foundation to try and end or reduce veteran, first responder, and family member suicide.
So let's talk about the fireworks specifically. Loud sounds, colorful lights, the smell of fireworks. What do we need to know about the triggers here? I mean, these are all maybe obvious things for us to discuss here, but what are some of those, what are things that people need to know about the situation that they don't commonly think about?
Well, Austin, the first thing I'm going to lead with, what everybody should know is, I don't know a single veteran out there who would say, change what you're doing. They want you to be happy. They want you to celebrate. That's why they put on a uniform. That's why they went and out on the tip of the spear to protect our freedoms, to be able to have people have fun and celebrate. So I want to lead with that. There's no veteran I know that's saying, hey, throttle stuff back for me. If anything, they'll tell you the exact opposite. And that's what you got to look at, right? Behind that smiling mask and stuff like that might be some pain and might be some hurt. So as I said, it's doing that buddy check. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Just a veteran who is in a tough place, just knowing that somebody cares can potentially save and change a life. It's just that little bit. Instead of them feeling alone, it's them saying, hey, at least somebody cares. Because when they get out of the military, a lot of veterans take off that uniform and they lose that sense of purpose, that sense of mission. They also lose the camaraderie, that brotherhood, that sisterhood. You are in an organization where you trust somebody with your life, or they're not in that organization anymore. Then they end up in a civilian job where I left the cockpit of a Hornet and essentially went to a Wall Street firm. And I got to tell you, Austin, I went from an environment where I trusted people with my life to I couldn't trust somebody to watch my wallet when I went to the bathroom for 5 minutes. So all of those things wrapped together, if you know that as a friend, as a family member, as a civilian, inquiring about those individual issues, I guarantee you're going to start getting some stories. And just listen. Sometimes, Austin, a veteran just being able to talk and get stuff off their chest, it really is a weight off their shoulders.
So I was reading on your site that 1 in 3 veterans live with PTSD, and they also don't feel like they get the mental health services that they need of those 3. PTSD is also 3 times more likely among veterans who were deployed compared to those who did not. Let's say that one of them is sitting in their home, like I was last night around midnight, and then you start to hear the loud bangs overhead. What do you do in that scenario when your mind goes to that place? How do you remove yourself from the situation? How do you handle it? How do they handle it?
First thing to do, Austin, is remind all my fellow veteran brothers and sisters is they are not alone. Just knowing that there are other veterans out there who are going through similar issues, that's the first thing they need to remember is sadly, they're not unique in their suffering. And that pains me to say, even saying that out loud, but believe it or not, Austin, knowing that you're not alone in this is a big way out. And then also know that this suffering is treatable. This is why I started the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, to help treat veterans with PTS. And just so everybody knows out there, we prefer to drop the D because we don't call it a disorder. It's an injury, right? We're alluding to gunfire and the smell of gunpowder and loud noises and stuff like that. But there's a lot of veterans suffering from PTS for other reasons. We call it moral injuries. I have a brother who had a weapons delivery go wrong in Iraq from an F-14 Tomcat, and through no fault of his own, he took out 3 generations of innocent Iraqis, 12 innocent Iraqis. And that guy carried that with him through some thankfully unsuccessful suicide attempts, and now he's a healed human being. So there's a lot of injuries that aren't visible as well. Austin, at the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, we also help women and unfortunately men who weren't even anywhere near the front lines, who suffered MST or military sexual trauma. So you can suffer PTS even if you weren't on the front lines. But to your point around holidays like this, where there are veterans who have been on the front lines, who are used to hearing gunfire, just know that you're not alone, and we can help heal that PTS, I guarantee you.
In 2024, coming up to 2025, what are the new age remedies for PTS? How is this changing as the research progresses, as the science progresses? Where are things headed?
Thank you, my brother, for asking that question, because they're not new age. They're actually thousands and thousands of years old. President-elect JD Vance was on Joe Rogan a couple months ago talking about psychedelic-assisted therapy for veterans. The RFK Jr., the HHS nominee, also very, very pro-psychedelic. And also Pete Hegseth, President-elect Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, was on a podcast with Sean Ryan recently talking about psychedelic-assisted therapy for veterans. So it's actually not new age. A lot of these psychedelic-assisted therapy treatments have been used for thousands and thousands of years. So Austin, 2025, hopefully we're going to see some movement on psychedelic-assisted therapy for veterans. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to see the movie Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg or read the book. I went down to Mexico 3.5 years ago with Marcus Luttrell, the Lone Survivor, and also one of the founders of Black Rifle Coffee, another Navy SEAL veteran, and then an NFL veteran who was suffering from some pretty bad CTE. And I'll just give you the cliff notes real quick, Austin. It was the most incredible spiritual 12 to 14 hour ass kicking I've ever had in my life. And it saved and changed my life, all of us there. So I got home and I looked at my beautiful bride, Susie, and I said, this is how we're going to end veteran suicide. So to date, I think we've given healing grants to close to 75 to maybe even 100 veterans and first responders and family members to go sit with these medicines. And to be clear, these psychedelic-assisted therapy is not for everybody. But I like to say, or I don't like to say it, I do say that radical trauma might need radical healing. So at least potentially the incoming administration is going to have a lot more of an open mind. And it's funny, Austin, because things have kind of flipped. I've been going to DC for the past couple of years to talk to our lawmakers. And I thought the Democrats were already there on this issue, right? Hippies and mala beads and drug rugs. And turns out that they were kind of a little closer to Big Pharma than I knew about. It's the Republicans. Congressman Morgan Luttrell, Marcus Luttrell's brother, saw his brother get back from Mexico, a different human being, and he said, maybe I should go do that. He did the medicine, ran for Congress. So Congressman Luttrell, Zinke, all the Navy SEAL congressmen, Republicans in Congress are actually leading the charge on psychedelic-assisted therapy for veterans. So long answer to your short question, but I think 2025, real quick, the VA just announced funding last month. The first funding since the 60s. I'm not going to do public math. Since the 60s,
good rule of thumb.
They're actually putting money into this. So 2025, Austin, is looking pretty good, hopefully, for healing veterans suffering with PTS.
And what about the conventional methods of treatment, if you will? Where do those fall into place?
It's tough. I don't want to talk down to some of this stuff, but Spravato and some other, I got to be honest with you, Austin, I personally believe, and a lot of veterans I know believe, the VA is a pill factory, man. It's a revolving door between the VA and Big Pharma. And when you sit on a VA couch, their first inclination is to throw pills at you. And that necessarily isn't a solution. One of the Navy SEALs veterans we helped was on 15 medications, 5 to wake up, 5 for lunch, 5 to go to bed. Since he sat with the medicines, he hasn't taken any of those drugs since. We've had another Special Forces individual whose brain scans from the VA were dark and black and gray from blast injuries. 3 months after sitting with the medicine, brain scans were white. So the conventional methods are the conventional methods, but they've also resulted in the veteran suicide rate staying steady or climbing a little bit. If you believe the study from the University of Alabama and Duke University, the numbers are actually double what Uncle Sam is telling us. So as well as I do, Austin, if the veteran suicide numbers were double what they think they are, they're not going to hold a press conference and tell us they're double. This is on the down low, and I'm trying to do something about it.
All right. Thanks for the conversation, Whiz. We'll talk soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Austin. God bless. Happy New Year.